Hi guys, morning. Hope all is well. I'm going to do a video about what I'm looking for the week. So let's kind of crack into it. So I'm in the UK. So Monday, London has been open for an hour and 10 minutes. So this is kind of what I've been looking at for this week, and hopefully this will give you a little bit more of a clear idea potentially of what's happening. So overall dollar, we are bullish at this standpoint. We have high time frame targets that I'm looking for price to come in into a 3-month supply, but we haven't actually reached that yet. And for the moment, we have actually kind of given some kind of a bit of a shift. So I had this area that I was looking for price to potentially go react from yesterday, maybe not go short, but react from last week. And you can see we did actually come into that area. We gave a little bit of reaction, not really too much. We kind of popped back up again, and then we had the news, and then we took out this high, and then we actually started to kind of die off a little bit. So once we kind of had this break-ish down here, I mean, the only reason why I'm saying ish is because, like, yeah, I suppose we did kind of break structure, to be honest with you. So I mean, I was looking for to see, now we had this raid and we kind of had this big move down, and we did have some demand in here which has now been invalidated for price to actually come and react off the area which it has done last night, or maybe a little bit higher. I think this is like a 30-minute, yeah, and then a 30-minute and a 15-minute, I think. So yeah, kind of off these two levels. That's what I'm looking for. That doesn't mean to say that price can't run this out one more time. There is demand down in here, which you can see if we drop it on a lower time frame. You can see that 15-minute. I've mapped this out because this is actually one that came in and tested previous demand, and then we actually caused a break of structure. So this demand did actually do something of significant. The one thing for me though that I don't really like these lows. You can see we have pretty much equal lows here, so that's probably giving me the idea that price could just run through this. I do expect and would like to see maybe price come down a little bit deeper, potentially into these areas. This is the DXY, not the dollar. So I was potentially waiting to see if price wanted to come down maybe into these levels one more time to then give us that run, or if price is just going to kind of come down, test into this area that I do have mapped out. We can delete that now. To come down into this area and then continue. But I am pretty much just going to sit on my hands just for time being, and well, until we come to New York session. If we do actually start coming down and breaking this low, that's when I'll just look for pullback and continuations. We could even see this small gap in here get filled before doing anything. So just for the bias, I am waiting. I would like to see price come down a little bit low for a bit of retracement to then go long. But if not, I could still see price just potentially come down just to go a bit higher, maybe just taking out these lows potentially. But overall, high time frame, I am bullish. At this current point, I feel this could potentially get ran. So yeah, let's kind of see what happens for this week. But at the moment, I'm looking for potential two reactions. Looking for here, we go long here, then break. Or secondly, we've got first POI, second POI. I want to see if we get some reactions or if we are going to break that high. So US30 is being a little bit tricky last week. So we had some nice reactions from the point that I was looking for last week. You can see we had this whole zone, and this was like a nice flip zone. You can see prices reacting in and around kind of all of these levels. So now this is where we're going to see, is price actually going to hold and continue and actually potentially run out these highs? Because even though they're not equal highs, we do have this high resting here. There would have been a lot of people selling at these areas, and price didn't actually come in and take it out. I did want to see if price was going to dig maybe up in a little bit higher than this. We didn't, but that's fine. We did have some super small demand that caused the previous week's break of structure, which is this, and you can see price actually reacted off that really nice. We had generation of liquidity in the form of lows and in the highs, ran that, and then we kind of came back up into this checkpoint. Now, for me, I'm overall bearish overall bearish, I could just see price roll over into this weekly, which is looking really, really nice to me. If I just take everything off, I would like to see if price is just kind of just going to roll over, to be honest with you. So going in for what I potentially have, I do have an area which I'm going to be looking to short from. If we're not and price does push higher, then that is completely fine. I do want to see if we can get more of this low ran. Where I mean that, I mean, you can see we had this hourly demand which price come into. We had a really nice reaction, took out these lows, took out this low. So I want to see if price is actually going to potentially come back down anywhere into this zone and see if we're actually going to get some reaction to either go long and may gain more, or if we're actually just going to die through it. But if we really look at this down point, we do actually technically have a small shift breaker structure here. So if we do pull our fib, you can see that fib is lining up pretty nicely with this imbalance that I'm looking for, and kind of in the 50% area of that whole zone. So that is something I'm going to look for. I do want to see if price is either going to react or go short, but I do have a zone mapped out here. You can see really, really nice distribution that played out. Even just starting with here, price was just manipulating each high. Manipulation, all of these manipulations, or all of these highs even got manipulated with this big final move. This is our distribution. I was actually looking for sales off this last week, but I didn't want to be too ballsy with it. I was looking for shorts kind of straight off of this zone here, and I was going to have my stops above here. I didn't want to do that just because I thought it was just going to be a bit of a risk doing that. So, but sometimes it is always good just to wait, because I mean, if I had have placed this around here, the most I would have gained is like 60 pips, still running like 35. But if I'm potentially looking to come back to the area I'm looking for, it's going to be just under like double what I'm kind of looking for anyway. So personally, sometimes just actually really waiting for a test of something. I mean, in reality, this might just completely trade through and could be invalidated, you know, but from our distribution that we have, which is looking really, really nice. We have this breaker structure. We still got a lot of imbalance down here, which needs to be filled. We do have a really nice 15-minute zone in here as well. But all of this basically kind of needs to be, well, it doesn't need to, but it could potentially be filled and tested. So what I'm really looking for is for price to come back into this 15-minute. This was the point where price kind of really just started to make its move down. You can see we've got that 10-minute here. On a 5-minute on my broker, there is a gap literally just here, so I do want to see if that gets filled. I'm going to be looking to come off of the open at that 15-minute, but I do have my stop loss just about 20 pips, because I don't know if price is going to run or dig a bit higher into this order. I do have my stop just a bit high, because what I was looking for equally is, if we just take this buy candle, 50% of that is here, this white line. So I've just got my stop loss just above the 50% of this higher one. Sometimes price can just sometimes test 50%. I don't think it probably will. I think if it's going to validate this, then it's probably just going to break high, if I'm going to be honest. But with the small shift of structure that we have, because so far price come up with kind of broke lower time frame structure, but came into this whole zone, and so this is the first point where price actually started to break. We pull back and test. So you can see kind of here we started to break below, we pulled back into these zones, and then we came down. We're looking for price to come back into these zones and potentially come down. Whether we are going to see going into Asia, London, New York roll over, I've seen that quite a few times. You will see that most of the time. You can see going into London and then New York, you roll over. Here, going into London, we came down. Or even, well, let's have a look. So London open, then we started pumping up. New York started to open again. We came in 2:30, New York open, then we rolled over. So, I mean, again, really just kind of good to show London going up and then New York roll over. Here, London going up, New York roll over. So it does it actually does kind of like work, and you can kind of see like that, like the session changes, like the session crossovers, which I think is really cool, just to see like the liquidity providers actually like communicating with each other and actually kind of doing things like that. I think it's like really interesting to see. So US30, I'm looking for price to run into YASA, into first POI, and to come down into this imbalance and to sweep all of this liquidity, Asian liquidity, and London. So I'm potentially looking for a nice just under 1 to 5 on this, 97 pips. So yeah, let's kind of see what happens with that. Euro pound. Euro pound, I actually thought this was going to be a really nice opportunity, and it still could be. It hasn't actually validated what I'm looking for in all reality. Let's go higher time frame. So you can see, well, going on the weekly, massive distribution within this area, really, really nice. You have a buying climax, you have that S secondary test, you have that ST again, you have that UT, and then price actually starts coming down. So actually, give me 1 second. Okay. Okay, do you know what? I'm going to break this accumulation down really quick. So, I mean, in reality, you could say either this could be your PSI, which is your preliminary supply, or this in here, to be honest. I don't really mind about having my PSY as long as I can kind of see what's actually going on. And to be honest with you, like the PSY and AR and blah 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 blah, I will actually just map out really quick so everyone can see this. So here we have your price climb. You have your price climax. We have that AR automatic rally. Then we have your ST secondary test. Secondary test is nothing more than just test or a liquidation of the first zone, and then you can have more than one ST. You can have like technically kind of like these are, but an ST is nothing more than either it's just generating more liquidity. So I'm going to use that ST again, and then from your ST you have that U-turns. But what do we kind of see happen before this? Start to get that shift. This shift is kind of like the SOW in a way. Yeah, it is the SOW. And SOW is your sign of weakness. So preliminary supply, buyer's climax, AR, ST coming in, ST again. ST is nothing more than just generating and taking liquidity of everyone within here. Stop loss is going to be above here. You can see price comes up. Price comes down again, we get that sign of weakness, taking out liquidity within these sides and actually taking liquidity out of here as well. Sign of weakness, this is giving us an indication that price is potentially going to want to look to come down at some point. You can see price comes all the way up. We did not break structure here. We liquidated it. We did not break structure. We go on a line chart. You can see this is the high, this is the low, price pulled back into here. We did not break structure. So ST going into our UT. This is our UTAD. Price comes down, we manipulate more, we manipulate more, we manipulate more, creating kind of like a head and shoulders pattern for retail. Price comes down, and then we start creating this long, old, nasty correction. And if you guys know about correction and impulse, this is kind of, again, just a form of an accumulation or reaccumulation, whatever. So it's nothing more than just lows getting manipulated and lows get manipulated, and then you get that breaker structure, then you get that pull down, retest, and then continuations. It is basically all the same. It just looks a bit different. You have like your impulse, correction, impulse again, you got your impulse, correction, and then impulse, and then vice versa, impulse, correction, impulse, impulse, correction, impulse. So this was just that. This is your impulse, this is your correction, and this is your impulse again. But this is nothing more than just another version of these, but it just looks different. It does the same thing, just taking liquidity. So euro pound. Let's check it out. So euro pound, we have now really, well, first of all, we've come in, we have actually swept this structure high. So this would kind of give me an idea that I'm looking for price to come down into. There was a weekly zone. Yeah. So this is, I'm working all the weekly right now. Cool. So we have our shift, looking for price to pull down into this weekly zone in here, this nice doji candle. This is looking really, really clean for me. I want to see if price can come down, and whether we're going to go higher, I don't know, or if we're just going to continue down. But the first zone I'm going to be looking at is basically 85 psych level. Nice psychological level. Look at that. Amazing. So 85 is where I'm looking for price to come into. Now, what could we see for the day? Well, we did have this zone higher up, which I was still thinking there was like a 15-minute in here. I was expecting to come in, see if we were going to get this. We didn't. It's cool. It is what it is. Price actually came into 4-hour imbalance, I think. Yeah. So within this zone, this got filled with this imbalance in here with here, and then price kind of really just rolled over. All of us have kind of been really looking for this zone to be met. We didn't get that. That's fine. That is what that is. And you can see we had this 4-hourly supply zone, which created a lot of liquidity. We ran it, and then we went bullish. Then we went bearish. So as we went bearish, we are just going to stick with the momentum now. We did have small demand in here. I'm looking for price to give us a reaction. I mean, like, this is the first demand which actually got invalidated. So we can just, this is the first one that got invalidated. Price come up, we failed to make, came up again. And then we came down, we broke out this zone that we actually tested. So this is our flip as well. We have a couple of zones that I'm looking for. We have we have a full break structure anyway, so it's just going to be looking for areas which kind of cause this move to be broken. Let's go fib. Like, I mean, sometimes in trading, it's like things just don't line up like on purpose, you know, like there's always a reason. It's never a coincidence, as me and my friends like to say. So we have 50% zone. You can see we have, this is our supply. This supply within the equilibrium of this whole range move. You can see I'm looking for the 50%, see if price can come into that. Or if not, and price breaks higher, then you can see that fib 786 is lining up really, really nicely with this hourly candle up in here. We can actually break this down into a 30-minute, which I will probably look to get a bit more of a risk reward trade on. And I think that was it. Yeah, that was it. That was the main one. You can see either just really quick, price came in off here. Well, price came in, we reacted off this guy there. All of this liquidity was run. So again, this is nothing more than just a wyckoff. We have manipulation. A wyckoff is nothing more than a manipulation. Oh, a distribution is nothing more than just a manipulation of the highs of breaker structure to the downside. Then what did we get? We had a manipulation of the highs, and then we had a breaker structure to the downside. And then when we have a breaker structure after manipulation, those are the nicest areas to trade from, because these supply zones have actually caused something of great significance, meaning they've swept liquidity, they've broken some sort of structure. So you can see price come in, pull back, we tested, but we have not yet fulfilled this test after this kind of strong bearish move. So dropping it down on the lower time frame now. We had a low that I was kind of looking for. If we actually break this down, we have another wyckoff which happened. You can see price came in, we took out this low, generating more liquidity to the highs. We have a nice 3-minute, price come in, we tested, we took out this low, we took out a lot of lows in here. We had that breaker structure. So I was just looking for price to come down into this zone to then actually continue higher. We can see we have a gap which is just not yet being filled. Just in here, it's still a little bit open, and we have a lot of liquidity resting above here. Now, there's been a new chancellor over the weekend, fundamentally, at things, and he's a bit more like for making the economy a lot more stronger and things. So we could see a lot more pound strength, which is kind of lining up to what I'm looking for with overall kind of shorts in a way. So this is kind of what I'm looking for. Looking for shorts. So this does actually look quite nice. I will only kind of really do something if and when this is broken, because there is potential for buys. I was looking for buys off of these two zones. I didn't place any orders or anything, and I woke up a little bit too late, and I didn't manage to get in on these. But what we have done now, kind of created relatively equal lows. So what I am going to be waiting for is, we've had a breaker structure here. So this is technically the zone that I'm looking for. If price does break this, this is then when I potentially look to see if we can go into the upside if we're actually creating more liquidity. If not, I'm just quite happy to just sit on my hands and wait. But what would be more of a confirmation if we kind of start breaking this zone, we kind of get a bit more of a reaction. If there is no kind of liquidity sweep in this, I would like to see if I can get some pullbacks back up into this zone to then take that short. But we'll see what happens with it. Gold, I've been waiting on gold for this for a while. Weekly going, just want to see price come into this weekly zone again, to be honest. We are bearish. I want to see if price is going to come out again and take up this low. This low is going to be nice to see get around one more time. How are we going to do that? I think we're potentially going to do that by a couple zones. We first have this zone, which is a 25-minute. Yeah, 25-minute, which actually broke and flipped this zone. But the one reason why I'm not really looking at this zone is because personally for me, this zone is looking quite nice. Would like to see price run into this supply one more time. This is the supply that caused by major news, and you can see we have a lot of liquidity that was formed in the form of lows here, which actually ran, and we actually broke significant structure, and we had a previous test of this. Again, this is nothing more than a manipulation of the highs and the breaker structure to the downside, looking for price to come in and test that zone or that area. You can see price has not actually tested that zone yet. So would not be surprised if potentially we had a run and then continuation back down. That is what I'm waiting for. We might not get that. That is fine. We will see what happens. And we just have to adapt. It's Monday. We have the whole week, so there is no point rushing anything at this current point. AU again, kind of looking similar to what a lot of people have been looking at, either off this zone. The one thing which kind of makes me a little bit not too sure, I have a level lower down. I think it's like a 12-hour maybe. Okay, I'm not quite sure what I was looking for in this zone, to be honest. Okay, so price is reacted off a 12-hour, which is actually kind of looking quite nice. So we had this first reaction of that 12-hour. But I think price could maybe just run out this low one more time, unless we want to start going up. Same kind of with US30 and things like that. I mean, like you can see, we have this this range looking for price to pop up, then back down. AU, we have this range looking for prices to pop up to and come back down. So that could mean on gold, again, kind of have this range looking for price to come up maybe one more time and then come back down. Who knows? So AU, obviously, we're looking for this zone. You can see this high literally just got ran. We could maybe come up into this higher zone as a possibility. But I think everyone is looking for this zone. Now, there was a nice 5-minute just in here, which I do want to see if price is going to get reactions from. If I'm going to be honest, at this current point, there's nothing too much which is looking like too nice for me. I mean, like these are like strong ideas that I do have. What would be nicer confluence is if price actually broke this low and we actually had a breaker structure, then we had that pullback to short. That's what I'd like to see more. The only nicer setup for me is US30 at the moment with this really nice distribution, and looking for that test to go short back down into where we had previous news. Euro pound, this again would have really been a nice one if I'd got in on it. Maybe that would have been nice. This just fundamentally, I don't know if I can really trust it, so I am just gonna wait for some shorts. But this call out still was quite nice. We still didn't actually take out that low, and I don't even think spread would have taken you out either, to be honest with you. No. Oh well, I mean, yeah, we didn't. So that is what I am. Yeah, these are probably my only two pairs that I like the most, other than the buys. Obviously, my bias on these is still short. So if we do get some crazy like moon or something like that, then that is fine because overall I'm looking for shorts anyway. I definitely want to see this zone. This is quite like a large zone. So this is around 60 pips. And the second one that I'm looking for is on 30. So yeah, look to kind of see what happens off of these two zones. But I will definitely keep everyone updated on what happens. So if any of you guys got questions, please let me know. Oh, okay, there we go. So quickly on DXY, you can see we are actually starting to come up and fill that gap, which is quite nice to see. So if you guys got any questions, please let me know. Feel free to fire away and I will help you as much as I can. All right, guys.